Hey everybody, my name is Brian Moschel, and I'm going to talk today about FuncUnit, which is, can everybody hear me in the back? Cool. So I'm going to be talking today about FuncUnit, which is a JavaScript functional testing tool, and also there's an IDE that we've released that's in its very infant alpha stages, and I'll show that off as well. So FuncUnit is actually a piece of JavaScript MVC that stands on its own. And testing for, who in the audience actually writes tests for their JavaScript applications? Quick show of hands. That's good. That's more than half. That's more than I expected. But this is the Death Star is probably a good example of why testing is important, because if you don't do it, it can be pretty costly. Can bring your systems down. So we're going to write some tests. At the end of this, I'm going to run through these slides really quick, and then we're going to test this contacts management application and write some JavaScript tests for it. So the reasons why you should test, it's pretty obvious, I'm sure, is that it improves your code quality, developer confidence. People will refactor their code without worrying about breaking other people's code, and efficiency, because if you don't know that there's a problem 2 weeks down the line, you have to reverse engineer all the changes that have happened since that problem was introduced. So testing lets you, realize that there's an issue before it's too late. So the testing landscape right now, there's a lot of functional testing tools out there. Not too many of them are for JavaScript. And that's where FuncUnit kind of comes in. So there's a lot of functional testing tools written for other languages and unit testing tools written for JavaScript, but FuncUnit kind of hits that sweet spot between functional testing and JavaScript-based tools. So the reasons that people don't test traditionally, you guys, most of you do test, so this will be a review or not necessary really, so I'll go quick. There's a lot of testing tools have high cost and setup, which is a barrier to entry for new developers. Foreign APIs, if you're writing your application in JavaScript, you don't want to write your tests in Python and Java or .NET, you want to write your tests in JavaScript as well. As an example, here's what a QTP test looks like, and it's kind of obtuse if you're a jQuery developer or a JavaScript developer. It's kind of hard to see what's going on there, as opposed to something written in JavaScript based on QUnit that it's pretty obvious what's going on for a JavaScript developer. It's difficult to debug across platforms. So if you're writing a Selenium test in PHP that runs across the Selenium bridge into Firefox, there's a lot of places where you have to check to see where something's going wrong. What you'd really want to do is just open up a Firebug console and set breakpoints and debug your test that way, because we're all used to that. So another issue is inaccurate event simulation. The traditional example here is if your testing suite doesn't have very accurate event simulation. In this example, if you're writing a test that clicks this input up here, your testing suite has to not only publish a click event, but the browser also publishes a focus event. So that could break your test, or your test could not work because the simulation wasn't accurate enough, and that's not what you want. And then kind of related to the first point, where if you can't set up your testing tools, if your developers aren't setting up testing tools because they're costly or difficult to set up, then QA can't really communicate with testers very easily. So I'm sure any of you who work in a big company have seen something like this before. This is a bug report that's been filed, and what you'd rather see is just a URL to a breaking test case, so as a developer you don't have to spend an hour just getting up to speed with what the actual problem was. So FuncUnit features in-browser or Selenium-based testing. You write the test once and it runs in both places. And it's a jQuery-like syntax. There's no setup involved. It just uses Java in the browser. It provides accurate event simulation in this new shiny IDE. So it's built on top of Selenium, QUnit, jQuery, this synthetic library that simulates events accurately. And finally, we're to the demo. So let's jump out and look at some code. We just pushed out a new version of the FuncUnit website. So if you go there, there's a download. Oh, sorry. Where's my mouse? So there's a download there, and you know what? I'm going to set up mirroring real quick so I can actually see what I'm doing. Okay. So if you go ahead and download the framework, I've already done that, so we can save some time. It comes with a couple folders. I've got an app running locally here that we're going to write a test for. It's just a simple contact management app, and there's some functionality where if you click, you can't really see that well, but if you click a category at the top, it filters the results, and you can add new categories through this little form here. So we're going to just write a quick test that form creation actually works. So the first thing you do when you download FuncUnit is you can copy all these files into a FuncUnit directory in your application. So I've got this FuncUnit folder right here, and I copied everything in there. It comes with this little demo app. So if we open that up it comes with, in the demo app, there's your application page right here, and then a FuncUnit page. So if you open the FuncUnit page in your browser, so it's going to do some typing and some dragging and dropping, and then what actually happened was this page opened a separate window to your application and then ran the test. So this is just FuncUnit is an API on top of QUnit. So if you've seen QUnit tests before, it works in a similar way. So we're going to go ahead and write a test for that application, that context application. So all we want to do in this application, or for this test actually, is click the, oops, where'd that go? So we're gonna write some code that's gonna click this create button here, and then it's gonna click inside of the form that pops up. It's gonna hit backspace a few times to clear out what's showing, and then it's gonna type something like animal, and then hit enter, and then verify that something actually showed up. So I've got a cheat sheet here, but basically we'll write the pseudocode first. So all it's going to do is we're going to first open the right page. So s.open is the command that opens the page, and we're 2 directories up. So it's going to go to contacts.html, and then we're going to grab that plus button there, and we're going to click it. We're going to wait for the form to appear. So there's a concept of waits, and basically that means just keep waiting, keep checking to see if a condition is true, and don't continue the test until that is the case. So we're going to wait for this input to appear. So we're going to say .exists. Actually, we'll say .visible. It's going to wait for that to be visible, and then it's going to click it. Then we're going to type backspace 4 times. Then we're going to type animal. And then we're going to hit return character. That's the enter key. Oh, wow, I need to hurry up here. Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead and show you. So if you're interested more in checking out the, if you want to check out the API, there's a link. Got too many tabs open here, to the documentation right here, and that should show you the API for FuncUnit. I'm going to just go ahead and copy the test into there. So we're using jQuery selectors to grab elements here. So we're going to grab the create button, click it, grab the input, make sure it's visible, click it, type, and then we're going to verify that there's 8 items instead of 7, and run an assertion. So if I run this test again, it's going to open up the page. You see it's typing really quickly, and then it verified that actually worked. So we can run the same test from Selenium using a command line. So we type FuncUnit MJS and then the path to the page, and it's going to open up a Selenium server. And that's going to open up Firefox. So this can be automated for your QA team. And it was quick, but it did the same test. And then, okay, I wanted to show the very alpha FuncIt IDE. So there's an IDE that we're working on still, but it can be useful because really the hardest part of writing these tests sometimes is getting the selectors right. So this, if you, I should show you where this comes from. So if you go to the FuncUnit page, there's a FuncIt IDE that you can click on. And there's a bookmarklet in here that you drag this to your bookmark bar and open up any application. Actually, since it's a bookmarklet, you can do this from any non-local application as well. You click FuncIt, and then it opens up a little IDE in the bottom here where you can record. It records your actions in the page. So I'm going to go ahead and click click that plus button. I'm going to click the input, hit backspace 4 times, type animal, hit enter, very delicately. Hopefully this is, and then there's wait conditions that you can use as well, so we're going to wait for that last thing to be visible. So, and then you can click the run button and it should replay your test in the browser. So that's FuncUnit, and just to show off a kind of a cooler demo, GrooveShark, which is a JavaScript MVC application, quick plug there. You can test GrooveShark by clicking the FuncUnit bookmarklet, and it's gonna open up GrooveShark with FuncUnit on the bottom of the page there. Depending on how fast the internet is, I'm not sure if this will be. There we go. Okay, so if we click in the search for music here, type in Taylor Swift. She's my favorite. And then we can do a wait for the text Taylor Swift to be the first match up here. So if I click the play button again, it should reload that frame, wait for the page to be open, and type it and then verify. So you can go ahead and copy this into your test file. We actually have a save button that's just not deployed right now, but that's a feature that's also out there. So just want to show off the IDE, and hopefully this will make some progress in the future. If you're interested in FuncUnit as an open source project, it's available at Jupyter.js FuncUnit. And if you need some more links here. So Jupyter.js is the company I work for. We're hiring too if anyone's looking for a job out there. And these are the Twitter handles. So thanks. Any questions before? Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, the thing you had for the report button, does that only work in Firefox? Or?
Yeah, it only works in Firefox because it uses DOM content modified and other events. All right, thanks.